Sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and could even keep you from the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. This is Walker McKay with the No BS Sales School podcast. That's something on my mind. I heard it today for like the 300th time, and finally I said, damn it, I'm going to dispel this rumor. I heard somebody today say, oh, well, sales is just a numbers game. Burns my ass. Sales is just a numbers game. That's all you got to do, right? Just a numbers game. Well, what does that mean? All right, so what that means is that somebody says, well, you just got to make enough calls and eventually it'll work. And I don't know, maybe there's part of that, but what is sales is a numbers game? What does that also imply? That there's nothing else to it. You just pick up the phone and do whatever you're going to do and you'll win. Well, you and I both know that's bullshit, right? If sales is just a numbers game, then there's no skill involved. But we obviously know that's not the case. So there's several pieces involved. Yes, there is a numbers game part of this. You have to do behavior. You have to dial the phone, do the networking, ask for referrals, use LinkedIn, use all the tools, the marketing, whatever you have to do to get in front of people, to set meetings, right? That is important. At the same time, though, while you have to do the numbers and track it and all that we talked about, there's also, what are the beliefs that you're carrying into those meetings? What are the beliefs that you have when you're making that phone call? Because your beliefs actually will lead to what you actually do. Right? So you have a belief which leads to how you're going to actually attempt something. If you have a negative belief, that attempt will fall shallow, won't last, right? Which will then lead you to make a judgment that, see, I was right. And which reinforces your belief and makes it bad again. So if you say, for example, cold calling doesn't work, yet you're required to make cold calls, guess what? You're going to give it a half effort at best. Right? You're going to do a shitty effort with that. And then you're going to make the call. It's not going to go well because you're expecting it not to work, right? You get voicemail a couple times, maybe get someone on the phone, they tell you to go to hell, and you say, see, it doesn't work. By the way, how many times have you really ever been told to go to hell on a cold call? I mean, really? That's always everybody's worst fear. Somebody's going to yell at me. I don't want to do that. I mean, God dang, I bet I've made 100,000 cold calls, maybe more. I've never had somebody tell me to go to hell on a cold call. Never has happened. Maybe I've been told somebody's had a bad day and they yelled, it was only briefly, and shit, that's their problem, not mine. So what are the beliefs you're carrying into this call? Here's what I want you to believe when you're going into a sales call, whether it's a cold call or you're walking a regular sales call. I want you to understand it is your job to interrupt people. That is your job. You are supposed to, when you're prospecting, to interrupt people. Expect it. That's what you get paid to do. Don't apologize for it. They answered their phone. It's all okay, right? I also want you to believe that there's somebody on the other end of the line that is waiting, that has the problem that you could solve. They don't know what to do. They're scratching their head right now going, damn, what can I do about this? And the phone rings and it's you. I also want you to know that when you call, you're probably the best shot somebody has at getting help. Now, you're not going to be the right fit for everybody. If somebody is rude to you or hangs up, that's because they're having a bad day. That's not your fault or your problem, right? Keep moving. So, sales is a numbers game. Sales is also a mind game. The hardest thing about sales in general is managing your head between deals. So we have to keep, and again, I don't want you to be all happy, joy. This is the greatest thing in the whole world. It's hard damn work. It is. We all have to know it's hard work. And you got to know when you go into this thing, your belief is this is hard. It's always going to be hard. I just have to get better at it, right? So that's your belief. And then we lead to the last part, right? You got the numbers game thing, make the calls, do the numbers, show up at the meetings. And then you got your beliefs when you walk in. And then it's your approach. What is your approach when you're having a sales call, right? It's not just a numbers game. What are you asking for? What are you hoping will happen? What is your strategy once you get there? What's the system that you're following? Is there a process, right? Do you have a process to disqualify those people that aren't going to be the right fit? Because sometimes even when you get a meeting, those people aren't going to be the right fit. If you think about this, right, 5% of your prospects are out there actively looking for what it is that you sell. They're already in the marketplace looking. Then there's another 20% that might make a change if they saw something compelling and trusted someone to help them make the change. 20%, if they saw something compelling and trusted somebody to help them make the change, right? But they're not out there looking. I promise you there's a whole lot better opportunity than 20%. They're not looking. The 5%, they've already gone out. They're asking for 3 prices. They've done all their research. They think they know what they want. They're going to be a pain in your ass. Your goal is to find those that aren't actively looking. Be able to present a compelling conversation. Ask questions to figure out, is there a reason they should make a change? Here's the thing, right? We're still only talking about the top 25% at most. There's 75% that aren't ready, aren't going to change. So a lot of your conversations are going to go nowhere. Or if people are talking to you, chances are they're not going to make a change. Be aware of that. Tell them up front, hey, look, you probably got no reason to change. My guess is everything's fine. I'm just curious, any reason we should spend 5-10 minutes talking, maybe ask you a couple of questions, figure out if I should ever call you back again. What is the process that you're following? What's the strategy that you have? What are you hoping would happen at the end of a sales call or even the end of a phone call in? I would suggest that, typically, and everybody's business is different, but if you're having a prospecting call where you're reaching out to somebody, I think the goal of that call is not necessarily to sell anything other than, do we need to have a meeting, right? Do we need to spend another 15 minutes on the phone or 5 minutes on the phone to figure out whether or not we should get together, be that over Zoom, be that in person, whatever that is. Then once you get the meeting, depends on what you sell, right? What your ideal outcome might be, but know what your ideal outcome is when you go into the meeting. And then tell them, typically at the end of a meeting like this, we're deciding X. We're deciding whether or not you should hire me for this. We're deciding whether or not you hire me to do a study. We're deciding whether or not you hire us to do this, right? Lay that out up front. Tell them what they are, what the meeting is about. Get agreement that they're okay deciding that. If they're not okay with deciding we're not going to hire you in that first meeting, then say, okay, other times we're deciding whether or not we do this, which may be another meeting with another decision maker, whatever. You're in control of this. Sales is so much more than a numbers game. It is a game that you have to work on and work on and work on. The great part about it is you get better at sales, you get better at life. That's part of what I love about what I do and love about working with people like you. I'm Walker McKay with No BS Sales. Go be yourself, tell the truth, manage expectations, and know that sales is not just a numbers game. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you're struggling to close deals, then I want to invite you to take my free mini course, where you'll learn the 7 most expensive sales mistakes that will cost you time, money, and credibility. So be sure to click the link in the show notes or go to www.7salesmistakes.com. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast.